Hello and welcome back to another video, and in this one we're going to be looking at even more MFDS exam questions and answers. So you can also use these questions for the Diploma of Primary Care Dentistry or even your final year dentistry exams, MFDS Part 1, MFDS Part 2. Now whenever I'm studying I like a nice background, much nicer, so let's get into our first question. At what age should you try and locate the upper canines? A6, B8, C10, D13 and E16. So the correct answer here is actually C, 10 years. It's really important to try and locate these because they are the most common tooth that would be unerupted, or at least one of the most common teeth that would be unerupted. And if they do go missing, then they can have other consequential effects, not just in terms of the development of the teeth, but if it's going to go and collide with the upper lateral incisor, that could lead to a lot of issues, particularly the devitalization of that tooth. So definitely we want to try and find those canines before they go astray. Now, just a quick point on that type of question before we move on is that type of question asking you about the dates of when things will erupt and what teeth erupt when and when the root formation is complete. Those are quite common questions and they're very easy questions to get, but they're also very easy questions to get wrong. So it's something that you should know for the MFDS or any of these exams that you're taking, because it's always likely going to be a question that comes up. Now, so question 2, where are you most likely to find a radicular cyst? Is it the maxillary central incisor region, mandibular central, mandibular premolar, maxillary premolar, or the mandibular third molar? This one is probably just one of those facts that you either know or you don't, but the correct answer here is the maxillary central incisor region. The reason for that is because, well, it actually accounts for about 37% of all radicular cysts, but the reason being that those teeth are most likely to be traumatized, especially whenever we're younger, and thus most likely to be non-vital for longer, perhaps unknown to be, and then a radicular cyst will form as a result of that. So the correct answer is A. Okay, so moving on now to our next question, question 3. Which of the following is not a physical cause of non-carious tooth surface loss? Would it be a fracture, attrition, abrasion, vomiting, or iatrogenic? So fracture, attrition, abrasion, they're all physical losses of tooth. Iatrogenic is something, you know, like the drill might hit the tooth or something, so I suppose that is physical as well. Vomiting here is the only one that's not physical. That's a chemical reason for tooth surface loss, so the correct answer here is D. Now, so moving on to our fourth question for this video. Which one of the following radiographic features would not suggest that the patient would be at high risk of damage to their inferior dental nerve during the removal of a mandibular third molar? Okay, so wisdom teeth questions are also very common because they are something that comes up a lot in practice as well. And this question can take a lot of different forms as well. You know, this could be asking something completely different about flap design, or types of different impaction of the wisdom tooth as well, or showing you a radiograph of it with a, you know, dentigerous cyst or something around it then. So in this particular question we're really focused on the ID nerve. The radiolucent band does suggest that they would be at high risk. Loss of the tram lines, deviation and narrowing of the tram lines also indicate that. So the correct answer here is C, because that would not suggest high risk. Now, so this last question is probably a little bit mean, but whenever I was doing my part 2, this was actually one of the first questions that we got on the exam, and it completely threw me off for the rest of the exam. They asked us to identify parts of the orbit. So anatomy does come up in these exams, particularly in the part 2, and it'll most likely come up in the form of a question like this, where it'll ask you to identify parts of a diagram. The second question to this particular question as well was things like what would pass through this particular structure, what nerve, what veins, etc. So look, just be prepared for that. I'm not going to go through all the answers to this question in this video, but please do leave the answers down in the comments and we'll have a chat there and see who got them all right then.